What's up, you venomous few? My name is Venomous Lord, and I'm coming back to you today with another deck profile, and here's my hands, by the way, in case you wanted to see them. But we're going to talk about today a deck that I've been using, and I built myself. I spent a lot of money on this deck, and it's not even complete from the actual, YCS type standards, but from my personal build, because I couldn't get all the cards, the Seraphinite, the Brilliant Fusion and Garnet, that whole fusion combo, the Orphis Scorpio, all that. And I understand that I'm not the only one who can afford such cards, even though I did end up getting like a Regeki and a Gamma Seal and all that. I didn't get all the other key pieces. But I built a deck that works a lot faster, in my opinion, and can put maybe less negates, but, more consistent board presence. And throughout testing, this deck has been pretty good to me, and I would just like to share that with you guys today. So without further ado, we're going to talk about our World Chalice. Now, to start off the deck profile, we're going to run probably one of the most key set pieces of the deck. We're going to run 3 copies of World Legacy World Chalice. He's a 0 attack, 0 defense, dark, level 5, machine type monster. And if he's normal summoned, he gains the effect of when he's sent to the graveyard via link summon, tribute, whatever it happens to be. You get to special summon 2 World Chalice monsters from the deck. And the turn while he's in the graveyard, the standby phase of the turn after he's sent to the graveyard. So when it comes back to you, you can banish him from the graveyard, add a World Chalice card to your hand, which is unique because he's one of the only searchers for your spell cards if you're playing the field spell, or World Legacy Heart, or World Legacy Landmark. Also, if opponent's monster is special summoned from the extra deck, except during the damage step, you can tribute him and send those monsters to the graveyard, which is good because if somebody pops out like a Cyframe Lord Omega, you can immediately just tap him out. Especially if he's normal summoned, then you get the advantage of getting 2 more monsters back. So he's just a really good card. And there's some variants of this deck that use Cyber Dragon Infinity, which he is an eligible target for. Next thing we're going to play is going to be 3 copies of Lee, the World Chalice Fairy. Level 2 Light Fairy type with 100 attack and 2000 defense, with the effect of when this card is normal or special summoned, you may search for a World Chalice monster in your deck and add it to your hand. Which is really good because you can get some of your key pieces like the World Legacy World Chalice just off of her. How you're going to possibly link summon into getting that on the field, because you do have to have certain link monsters to make the combo work, is entirely up to what you have on the board at the moment. But Lee is a target for the World Legacy World Chalice. You can special summon it. Get 2 additional searches on top of your special summons. You got 2 defense walls and 2 link materials. I don't think you can get a better trade-off. Next thing, we're going to go look at some vanillas real quick. We're going to look at Chosen by the World Chalice, and I'm playing 3 of him. He's a level 3 fire type psychic monster with 1600 attack and 0 defense. He has no effect, but he is one of the most important cards because not only is he an unexpected die target, he's an emergency teleport target, and he's searchable off of almost all the World Chalice cards. So you can get access to this card almost as often as you want. Special summoning directly from the deck, or, putting him on the field from the graveyard, which is a big thing. And I usually end up popping him off first turn. If it's not him, it's going to be Beckon, but, there you go. But Chosen by the World Chalice is key if you want to go into Link 1 plays. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to play triple copies of the Agent of Creation Venus. And I thought this card sucked because the first time I've ever seen this card was when I bought the Agents deck a long time ago with Master Hyperion and all that. Pretty crazy deck for me just starting, going back and buying older decks. But the Agent of Creation Venus is not a once per turn. I kind of had to reread over that and figure that out. And she allows you to take the next card, Mystical Shine Ball, one of the most terrible vanillas in the game, and use it to your advantage. because when you normal summon her, you can pay 500 each time you want to special summon one of them from the hand or deck, which is great. I've had games where I've gone down like 4,500 life points because I just keep recycling them and keep using them for link plays, and it was just fantastic on its own end. Next thing we're going to play is another copy, or rather another target for your emergency teleport. Another level 3 psychic type monster, 0 attack, 1800 defense, level 3 tuner. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. There's no shortage of hand traps in the game, and you know, I already play a hand trap with one of my World Chalice monsters, but the my apologies, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit is probably the best one. It shuts down your searchers, you know, Soul Eating Overraptor, Tin Can. If you play against a Cosmo deck, for whatever reason, you'll see those. The Goki Searchers. It's just a really good card, and then the Nightmare cards really fall victim to this pretty bad. Next thing we're going to play is 2 copies of Beckoned by the World Chalice. Because he's an unexpected die target, he's a World Chalice card target, and he's a Rhoda target. 1800 attack, he's probably the strongest World Chalice monster I have in the main deck. And he's just overall good. You can go into rank 4 plays, you can synchro for 7 with Ghost Ogre. You can link 1 or link 2 or however many you got on the field. He's just a good card. Next thing, we're going to play our other hand trap. Playing 2 copies of the World Chalice Guard Dragon. That is usually my search off of Lee, because when Lee would go to the graveyard, because after I'd use it for a link summon, I'd discard this, get Lee back, set up for next turn, and then I would be able to banish one of my Guard Dragons to go ahead and put a normal monster back on the field, be it Beckoned or Chosen or the Shine Balls, and go for further link plays. He's just a really good card, and he's a hand trap. Like if your opponent targets one of your link monsters, you can discard him anyway to negate the effect of a target. Pretty good. Next thing we're going to play is we're going to do our main recycler of the deck, Exodius, the Ultimate Forbidden Lord, at 2. He is a level, I think 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, level 10 spellcaster monster. And he is a win condition. A very poor one, but he is a win condition if you play Exodia. Because when he enters, you can special summon him from your hand by returning all monsters in your graveyard to the deck. And that includes your extra deck monsters, and that's a cost. So even if his special summon gets negated, you get all your stuff back, which is really good. The only downside is that when he leaves the field, he's banished. But if you were using him for the Exodia purposes, he gains 1,000 attack for every normal monster in the graveyard, which I play a very, very high amount of. And when he swings, you can send a monster from the deck to the graveyard. So he's a walking foolish burial in a way. Also, if you were to use Exodia and you mill all 5 pieces of Exodia using his effect, which means you'd have to attack 5 times, you would win the game. But overall, I just use him for recycle and link fodder. You can use him for all other purposes if you want to. Last thing is we're going to play our main deck boss monster, Archlord Krista. It is a level 8 light fairy type with 2,800 attack and 2,300 defense. And if you have exactly 3 fairy type monsters in your graveyard, which you'll have the Shine Ball, you'll have hold on, I got everything jumbled up here. The Shine Ball, you got your Venus, you got Lee, and even himself. If you have exactly 4 fairies in your graveyard, then you can special summon them from your hand and return one of those monsters to your hand. So he's a bit of a recursion, and he's a 2,800 attack beat stick. If he were to be destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can put him on top of the deck instead. So if you want to draw into him next turn, then you can. While he's on the field, he prevents all special summoning. So any deck that relies heavily on their special summoning, you got your Zodiac, your World Chalice for one, your Pendulum Magicians, so on and so forth. He shuts all that down. If they can't out a 2,500 attack monster off of a normal summon or a spell or trap, then they can't do anything with him, and the game is over. You pretty much won. So he's just a good card. Next thing, we're going to move off into spells. I don't play 3 of any spell at all. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to transmodify. And this right here is where you attribute a monster and you special summon from the deck a monster of the same type and attribute, but 1 level higher. So what you would do here is you play your Lee, you get your search, you transmodify Lee, and then you go into Venus. And then you would use Venus to pop out your shine balls and keep going with your game plan. And the whole purpose of this is I'm giving myself every search option possible. So I can get Ash Blossom, I can get Ghost Ogre, I can get Ghost Beld. I mean, hell, I can even survive a Ghost Reaper. You can do all the hand traps you want to me in a turn, and I'm still going to get a play. Following up on that, after we're going into Transmodify, you always want to have your easy link plays going, so we're going to play 2 copies of Scapegoat. A lot of people say that you should play 3. No, you play 2. Because you don't want to see it, clogging up your hand in the first turn or first few turns. And it's a 1-card Firewall Dragon, which is our only Link 4. Or a Link 3 for Gaia Saber, and you got a normal monster left over for a Link Spider. Next thing is we're going to play 2 Unexpected Die. I don't want to see this in my hand unless it's in like 1 and in the opening turn. Because this gets me my instant Shine Ball, it gets me my instant Chosen by the World Chalice or Beckoned by the World Chalice. So if I see this in my hand first turn, I almost have a guaranteed link play. Now we're going to move to 1-ofs. We're going to play Soul Charge. Because once you've done all those plays and your opponent thinks you're done, no, I'm going to keep playing. Even with the change to the in-game procedures where it would hurt you to lose life, first turn, I'm going ham. I'm going to summon every monster I can so that when it comes to your turn, I'm going to punish you for playing cards. Following up on that with Monster Reborn, getting a monster back to save our ass or, taking one away from your opponent, maybe using it as link fodder or going for the win. It's just a good card. Since it's at 1, you should run it at 1, just in my personal opinion. And following up on the grave play, you also want to play a Foolish Burial, just so you can send a Guard Dragon or a World Chalice, or just something you don't want to see in your hand, or something that will work in the graveyard. Just a good card. Next one we got is Emergency Teleport, which would target. I would play more. Unfortunately, it is limited 1, sadly. But that is a target for my Chosen by the World Chalice, and it is also a target for Ghost Ogre. So I got an instant monster right there. Next thing is you want to have a little bit of recursion, so you're going to play with World Legacy Heart. And what this card will do is when you activate it, you can add 2 World Chalice monsters from your graveyard back to your hand. And while it's in the graveyard, except for the turn you activated it, you can banish it and prevent the destruction of one of your World Chalice monsters, which is great. So it gets you a bit of recursion and a tiny bit of protection if they can't out one of your World Chalice monsters. Next thing we're going to play is Reinforcement in the Army. Sole purpose in the deck is to search Beckoned by the World Chalice, but that'll get you another monster to your hand. Just a good card. And then we got our If All Hope Fails, Dark Hole and Raigeki. Go ahead and clear the board, prevent your opponent from making future plays as far as dealing damage to you. These cards are absolutely dead when it comes to most Chain Burn players, but Chain Burn is going to see a lot less play due to the fact Chain Strike has been limited 1. So Dark Hole Raigeki is strong as ever. And that's it for the main deck. The whole purpose of the deck, play through the Ash Blossom, play through the effect negates. I'm going to make plays whether you negate any effects or at all. I'm going to special summon from the deck. I'm going to wipe your board. I'm going to make you not be able to special summon. I'm going to punish you for wanting to play me today. Is basically what this deck is about. And all of it kicks off into the spam, $1.50 can you can buy at Walmart for the extra deck. To start off the extra deck, we're going to play 2 Link Spider. I would play 3, but I found out that if you play 3, the deck gets a little bit less inconsistent. Because yes, you can deal with your Scapegoat tokens and your normal monsters from the main deck, but I'm almost never special summoning to the Zonian Links 2. So I'm not going to worry about, pushing real hard for Link Spider. But he is a good 1000 attack Link 1. Next Link 1 we're going to play is we're going to play 2 copies of Imduk the World Chalice Dragon. He has 800 attack. He's a Link 1 that requires a normal monster except for a token. The turn that he is link summoned, you can only use this once during the turn, but you get an additional summon of a World Chalice monster, which could lead into you setting up for a tribute summon for the World Legacy World Chalice, or just putting a Lee on the field, or just anything World Chalice related from your hand, which is really good. And if he attacks a monster that he points to, at the end of the damage step, that monster is destroyed. So if you need a little bit of spot removal, I mean, there you go. But when he's sent to the graveyard, like most other World Chalice monsters, you can special summon a World Chalice monster from your hand. So, really good play if you use him and the World Chalice as a link fodder. Next thing we're going to play, probably one of the best cards for the World Chalice that most people play, is Ib the World Chalice Priestess. She can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. She's a link 2 that requires 2 different monsters with different types and attributes. She has 1800 attack, link 2, and she points left and right. She has the same effect as the other World Chalice monsters, where she can special summon a monster from your hand if she's sent to the graveyard. Also, if a monster she points to would be destroyed by card effect, I believe. Yeah, card effect. You can send her to the graveyard instead, so you get an instant +1 off of losing her, which is pretty good. Next thing, we're going to play our last resort link monster. He sets up some of our plays, but we only want to play him when we're going to endgame and we have a big monster that we can't out. We're talking Alrum, the World Chalice Blade Master. He's a link 2 that requires 2 World Chalice monsters. He's got 2000 attack, which makes him halfway decent for a link 2 anyway. But he gains 300 attack for each World Chalice monster with a different name in your graveyard. So if you don't banish your guard dragons and you don't banish your World Chalices, then he gets pretty beefy. I've seen him in games where he's at like 3500 attack and my opponent had to basically put a Cyber End Dragon on me to get rid of him. And then after he went away, his other effect triggers where he gets a special summon World Chalice from my hand, so I get to continue playing next turn. Next thing, we're going to play 1 copy of Binary Sorceress just for a little bit of life gain and attack advantage. Link 2. I almost never use her except for, to uplink. So not really that great. But we got the best link 2 in the game here. I have 1 copy, Proxy Dragon. The only reason I'm playing Proxy Dragon here is because I don't like getting Raigeki'd, I don't like getting Dark Hope. So if I have to sacrifice 1 monster to keep the rest, you know what, I'll take that. Next one we're going to play is we're going to play 2 copies of the most crucial extra deck monster in this whole thing. We're going to play 2 copies of Trigate Wizard. You got your link 3 2+ monsters except tokens. If it points to 1 mutually, then damage that you deal in battle other than direct attacks is doubled when that monster. If it points to 2, you can banish a card on the field, which comes in handy a lot. And if it points to 3 mutually, which I usually try to get to first turn, which usually does happen, is you got a quick effect, you can negate any card once per turn. So Trigate's one of our if we didn't have the advantage of playing Trigate, if we got Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries off of him, I could still play, but it hurts the defensive aspect of the deck the whole lot, and he's a 2200 attacker, so not bad. Next thing, we're going to play 1 copy of Gaia Saber, the Lightning Shadow, just a generic link 3 with 2600. Using him with Scapegoat makes him pretty good. Next thing we're going to play is we're going to play 1 Ningirsu, World Chalice Warrior. 2500 attack. You can send a card you control and make your opponent send a card they control to the graveyard. If he's sent to the graveyard, you special summon a World Chalice monster from your hand. And when he's link summoned, if he points to any World Chalice monsters, you can draw cards equal to the number of ones he points to. So just a really good card. This card usually sits around $15 and it's entirely worth it. And then the last one, we're going to play the most degenerate link 4 other than Borolo Dragon. We're going to play Firewall Dragon. 1 card, Scapegoat into him. He's a link 4. You can bounce cards up to the number of mutual co-links that he has. Whenever a card leaves his co-link, like for example, if I had him up here and had Ninjutsu under him, and I sent Ninjutsu to the graveyard off of his effect. Not only would I get a special summon from Ninjutsu, I would also get a special summon from Firewall. So I'd get 2 more monsters on board, get an instant +1. And it really helps out in the aspect of creating a field presence. And the bounce effect comes in handy. Usually what I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce my opponent's back row 1, 2, or 3 times, and go ahead and go for game that turn. So that's about it. I had a side deck built up for this deck, but it's an under progress thing right now. So I ask you guys just be patient with me. I'm kind of taking it easy on my upload right now because I don't want to, spam you guys. But a lot of my videos that I'm uploading now are pre-recorded, just so you know that I did make my videos like I promised, but I'm just giving them to you all, a short time in a short period of time. I appreciate all the support you guys have given me. You guys are a huge, huge thing for me. I just want to thank you all so much for watching this video, by the way. Make sure that you smash, crumble, and crush that like button. And don't forget to hit that little subscribe button down below. And ring the notification bell so you're always up to date on my content. And I just want to thank you guys so much for watching again. And I'll see you in the next video.